So what's going on guys, Kate is here and welcome back to a brand new video. For today I will show you the top 3 best new meta builds for PvP and PvE in New World. So for each and every single build I will explain what attributes, weapon masteries and even weapon and gear perks you want to have. Then what gems and specific gear you want to use to get out your stats as much damage as possible. Then as well I will show you the best gameplay of me using different weapons, so you would know which abilities you want to use first on your enemies and much more. So if this sounds interesting to you, then let's get right into it. So then moving over to the first build, and for the weapons we want to go with the musket and rapier, and these are the attributes you want to have. So basically this build is structured around doing a lot of damage from very far distance, but at the same time if you get attacked then you can run away or apply even more debuffs to the enemy. So then no matter from which level you start using this build, you first of all want to get your dexterity to 300 and then start putting points in intelligence, and then around level 60 you should have 300 dexterity and 150 intelligence. And as this is a full glass cannon build, you want to go with the light category, and the best gear setup is to have one medium chest piece and then the rest light armor. So then taking a closer look at the first weapon, which is the musket, and these are the weapon masteries you want to have. So first things first, you want to get this one perk and then unlock the first ability called the powder burn, and then get these two perks. Then afterwards get the second ability called the shooter stance, and then get these two perks as well. And now from here let's move over to the other side and unlock these two perks, and then lastly get the third ability called the sticky shot, and then get these two perks, and that's it. Now from this moment you can spend your points in whatever way you want. So then going over to the second weapon, which is the rapier, and these are the weapon masteries you want to have. So first of all you want to unlock both these two abilities called the evade and fleech, and then get these 4 perks. Then from here let's move over to the other side and unlock the last third ability called the tando, and then get these 4 perks, and that's it. Now again you can use your points in whatever order you like. Okay, so now let's go over to the gameplay where I'll show you the best way to play this build and how to get out your abilities the highest damage possible. So then for the first weapon we have the musket, and the first Q ability is called the powder burn, which overloads your musket with gunpowder, dealing increased damage, and on the hit the enemy will get a burning effect, which will be doing damage over time. Then the second ability is called the shooter stance, which when you activate makes your character enter this crouching position, which deals damage and gives you the option to shoot 5 bullets with 70% reduced reloading time. And then lastly the third ability is called the sticky shot, which throws a short range shot that sticks to the target, and after 3 seconds it will explode, which will deal a bunch of damage in 3-meter range. And then moving over to the second weapon, which is the rapier, and the first Q spell is called the evade, which by activating makes you invulnerable for a split second. Then the second ability is called the tando, that slashes your enemy for 5-meter range, and the strike will apply a bleed effect on the enemy, dealing 85% weapon damage for the next 12 seconds. And this bleed can stack up to 3 times. And then lastly we have the fleech ability, which deals damage and provides a small but nice mobility / dash spell. So then moving over to the combat, and like I've mentioned at the start, this build is mainly meant for doing super high damage from very far distance. So most of the time while fighting in wars, open world or any other PvP or PvE, you mainly want to stay very far away from the enemy and just keep on using the musket and your normal light attacks with the powder burn and the shooter stance abilities. But then if you are in a 1v1 or perhaps if you get attacked, then first of all throw the sticky shot and make your target explode. Then afterwards switch to the rapier and run from the enemy with the fleech ability, or on the other hand dash into him with the same ability, and then just keep on using the tando and the evade ability as soon as they get off cooldown, and that's about it. So by using your musket, powder burn and the sticky shot, you apply burning and damage effects to the enemy, and then when you switch to the rapier and use the tando ability, you make the enemy target bleed even more. So then for my last and final conclusions for this build, this musket and rapier weapon combination is the highest damage build in the game, and with the abilities and perks we have selected we mainly focus on very high light attack damage. So then for our gem choice, for the musket you want to use the pristine ruby gem, then for your rapier get the aquamarine gem, and lastly for all of your gear, amulets, rings and everything else use the Enix gems. And then on top of all this, to find out the best weapon and gear perks, watch this video, which is titled which weapon and gear perks are the best for your build. You can find this video's link in description or just scroll through my channel, and in that specific guide I will explain how perks work and which ones are the best for your gear and weapons and much more. So if you're looking for the highest damage build possible and right now the current meta weapons, then for sure try this one out and enjoy. So then moving over to the second build, which is the mage class, and for the weapons we want to use the void gauntlet and ice gauntlet, and these are the attributes you want to have. So first things first, if you start from level 0, you want to get your intelligence to 150 and then start building your constitution, and around level 60 you should have 300 intelligence and 150 constitution. And lastly, for your gear you want to go with the medium category, and the best gear setup is to have heavy helmet, heavy chest armor, medium gloves, light pants and medium boots. And this will give you 22.9 kg weight, which is exactly just below the heavy weight category. So then moving over to the first weapon, which is the void gauntlet, and these are the weapon masteries you want to have. So first of all you want to unlock both these two perks and then get the first ability called the oblivion, and then get these two perks. Then afterwards unlock the second ability called the petrifying scream, and then get these two perks as well. And now let's move over to the other side and unlock the last third ability called the orb of decay, and then get these three perks, and that's it. Now from this moment you can unlock all the other perks in whatever way you like. Okay, so now let's move over to the second weapon, which is the ice gauntlet, and these are the weapon masteries you want to have. So first of all you want to unlock the first ability called the ice spikes, and then get these three perks. Then afterwards unlock the second ability called the ice storm, and then get these three perks. Then from here let's move over to the other side and unlock this one perk, and then the last third ability called the ice shower, and then get this one last perk, and that's it. Now again from this moment you can spend your points in whatever order you want. Okay, so now let's go over to the gameplay, where I'll show you the best way to play this build. So first of all, for the void gauntlet we have the first Q ability called the oblivion, which creates a circle around you, and you and your teammates inside the circle will be getting 20% damage increase. But on the other hand, your enemy standing in the circle will be taking void damage every second. Then for the second ability we have the petrifying scream, which when using will unleash a void scream, and this will stagger and root enemies in front of you. And then lastly we have the third ability called the orb of decay, and you can fire this orb which can go to your enemies, and each enemy that it hits it will deal decent damage and reduce their damage absorption, and then later that orb will come back and heal you for a few seconds. And lastly, if you hold the right mouse button you can regain more mana, but in exchange your health will go down. I definitely would not recommend to use this mechanic for this specific build. So then moving over to the second weapon, which is the ice gauntlet, and your Q spell is called the ice storm, which all enemies standing in it will get damaged and slowed, and the more enemies you hit the higher damage you will get. Then the R ability is called the ice shower, which when using will create an ice wall, and if a player goes through it, it will stun him, and this ability is very useful in chapping your targets. And then lastly, the third ability is called the ice spikes, which when you use it, it creates a trail of spikes in a straight line, which deals damage in the small AoE range. This ability is very useful and high damage if you use it correctly, and the way it works is that when you use the ability, but if you're too close to the enemy, then the ice spikes won't explode with the highest damage possible. So what you want to do is when using this ability, and you see that the player is 1 second away from getting hit, then press your right mouse button and this will detonate the spikes, which will deal very high damage. So then as far as your ability combinations go, this build has basically two one-shot combos. One combo is for the ice gauntlet, where you place the ice shower on the enemy player, and then put the ice storm and then hit the target with the ice spikes. And then the second combo is for the ice gauntlet, where you stun the enemy with the petrifying scream and then place the oblivion ability plus auto attack the target while doing medium jumps to activate the opal gem on your weapon, and that's about it. Most of the time you want to save your medium jumps to escape enemy abilities. And lastly, whenever you get low health, use your orb of decay and heal yourself for a few seconds, and that's about it. So then for my last and final conclusions for this build, this void gauntlet and ice gauntlet weapon combination is very high damage, and you basically have two different one-shot possibilities every 10 to 15 seconds, so you can easily destroy your enemies in a 1v1 or even in a 1v2. So then for our gem choice for the void gauntlet, you want to use the opal gem. Then for your ice gauntlet, get the malachite gem. And then for all of your gear, rings, amulets and everything else, use the Enix gems. And then on top of all this, to find out the best weapon and gear perks, watch this video, which is titled which weapon and gear perks are the best for your build. You can find the link in this video's description or just scroll through my channel. and in that guide I will explain how perks work and which ones are the best for the highest damage possible and much more. So in a quick summary, if you are looking for the best and my most favorite mage DPS build, then this is the one for you, so enjoy! So then, taking a closer look at the third build, which is the bow and spear, and these are the attributes you want to have. So no matter from which level you start using this build, you first of all want to get your dexterity to 200, and then get 50 points in constitution, and then continue putting everything else in dexterity. And around level 60 you should have 300 dexterity and 150 constitution. And lastly, for your gear you want to go with the light category, which means using the best setup, aka one medium chest piece and then all the other light equipment. So then taking a closer look at the first weapon, which is the bow, and these are the weapon masteries you want to have. So first things first, you want to unlock the first ability called the evade shot, and then get these 3 perks. Then afterwards get the second ability called the poison shot, and then get these 3 perks. Then from here, let's move over to the other side and unlock the last third ability called the penetrating shot, and then get these 4 perks, and that's it. Now from this point and onwards, you're free to pick and choose which perks you want to unlock next. So then going over to the second weapon, which is the spear, and these are the weapon masteries you want to have. So first of all, you want to unlock both these 2 perks and then get the first ability called the sweep, and then get these 2 perks. Then now let's go over to the other side and unlock these 2 more perks, and afterwards get the second ability, and of course the next 2 perks to him as well. And lastly, unlock the last third ability called the vault kick, and then get these 2 perks. And now again from this point, you're free to unlock all the other perks in whatever order you like. Okay, so now let's go over to the gameplay, where I'll show you the best way to play this build. So for the first weapon, we have the bow, and the first Q spell is called the poison shot, which gives you the ability to shoot an arrow, and when it reaches a target, the arrow will explode and create a green poison smoke, and enemies standing in that smoke will be taking damage every second. Then the second ability is called the penetrating shot, which deals a lot of damage, and the arrow itself can go through multiple players. And then lastly, our third ability is called the evade shot, which when using makes your character leap back 5 meters while shooting 1 arrow. Then the second weapon is the spear, and the first Q spell is called the sweep, which if you hit the enemy makes him drop down to the ground. Then the second ability is called the perforate, and when using it, it does 3 super fast spear attacks, and if you hit the target with all of them, he gets stunned for extra second or 2. And then lastly, we have the vault kick ability, and if you land it, you will stun the enemy for 1.5 seconds. Okay, so then the best way to attack a player is at the start, always try to have a distance between you and the enemy. So no matter if you're farming mobs in PVE or doing solo or group PvP, the same principle and rules apply. So from distance, you want to use the bow, and the way I like to do it is shoot 1 normal attack and then shoot the poison shot, and then again do 1 more normal attack and then the penetrating shot, and this will poison the enemy and make him take damage every second. Then from here, always try to keep on using your dodge rolls and swapping your weapon back and forth, and this will activate your perks on the bow, giving you the ability to get haste and damage increase. So for as long as you keep your distance, keep on using the bow, but then when the enemy comes close to you or you to him, switch to the spear and close the gap with 1 heavy attack, which you can do by holding your attack button for extra second, and then use your sweep ability and then activate your reparate ability, which will do 3 super fast spear attacks. Then when the enemy is about to get back up, use the vault kick and keep on auto attacking, and this should finish off the enemy. So this might seem very complicated, but the more you will play, the better you will get. You most importantly need to understand that when the enemy is further away, use your bow, and when he gets close to you, use the spear. And lastly, don't forget about dodge rolling and swapping your weapon back and forth to give you extra speed from the bow perks we have selected, and that's about it. So now for my last and final conclusions for this build. This bow and spear weapon combination right now is super strong and has one of the highest single target damage builds from all the weapons in the game. And with the spells we have selected, we make this build work very well in PvE and PvP as well. Just of course you have to consider that to play this build, it will be a bit harder and take more time to practice aiming, especially at moving targets, because it may seem easy to land an arrow on an enemy, but in reality it's actually quite hard. And then last but not the least, for the bow and spear, you want to use the opal gem. And then for all of your gear, amulets, rings and everything else, use the Enix gems. And then on top of all this, like I already explained in the previous builds, to find out the best weapon and gear perks, watch this video, which you can find the link in this video's description or just scroll through my channel. And in that video I will explain how perks work and which ones are the best for your gear and weapons and much more. So in a quick summary, if you're looking for a very good solo build that requires a bit more practice and skill, but which is very high damage, then this is the build for you, so I hope you have fun. And that's about it. So I really do appreciate everyone for watching guys, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any suggestions, feedback or other very high DPS builds that you would like to see in the next video, then feel free to leave your comments in the comment section down below. And while you're doing that, please click like, subscribe and enable that notification bell, so this way you could support the channel and you won't miss any more amazing content from me. With all this said, you have an amazing day and I'll catch you in my next video. So take it easy, peace.